Estás viendo Canal América, televisión dominicana para el mundo.
A Time for Truth show is sponsored by the Office of Dr. Bernard Fialkoff, a periodontal, dental implant and laser specialist in New York City, for over 40 years. Dr. Fialkoff was honored by the International College of Dentists and Pierre Fauchard, and received the Presidential Lifetime Humanitarian Honor from the White House. Call us at 718-229-3838.
Sometimes life can be so damn hard. You don't know where to go. Everything keeps falling apart. Yeah. You try to do your best, but only God knows that you've given everything you've got, but the world takes you down. You just keep moving on. Let your fears.
Welcome to A Time for Truth show. It's a pleasure to have you back again. I'm your host, Dr. Bernard Fialkoff. And many of you have been wondering, how do I avail myself of the previous episodes of the shows? It's very simple. Go on YouTube. Click on A Time for Truth show, A Time for Truth show. Hit the subscribe button. We'll be very happy to have you as a member. You'll be availed of all the episodes over the last 4 years. And tonight we want to get right to it because we're dealing with a subject that's so important for humanity, for civilization. Our women, the crucible of society. Without them, there is no society. There is no civilization. There's no family. Personally, myself, I realized that with my wife, with my mother, my grandmothers, there was a special love that they gave me, a support that, you need. There's a saying in the world that the man is the head of the house, but the woman is the neck. And she turns the head in the right direction so that we can see where we need to go. And tonight's show is about a very intense, caring, important human being who's here with us tonight sharing time. And I want to actually introduce you to her with her pictures first before we bring her live in the studio. Farrah Delance, a master's in public health, former youth ambassador for the Haitian President, and founder of the Farah Delance Foundation, owner of Revolt-Era LLC, a New York global citizen, a Drug-Free World America's chapter ambassador who engages herself in women's rights as an activist fighting for women who are suffering domestic abuse, sexual abuse, and suffering drug addiction issues. She lost her mother at an early age and was raised by her grandmother. As a mother, as a model, as a jurist, as a diplomat, as a singer, actress, designer, cultural journalist, human rights activist, Forbes BLK member, Farrah engages community service, utilizing her law school and diplomacy training in her mission that's never ending of helping the community, but especially helping our women. Her many awards and recognitions for her work include the 2025 Global Recognition Award, the 40 Under 40 Business Elite, the Top 20 Entrepreneurs of Impact, the 2024 Los Angeles Times B2B Visionary, the 2024 Top 50 Haitian Professionals, according to Haitian Open Magazine, the 50 Inspiring Haitian Women 2021 from SCO Tour Haiti, the top 10 Historic Haitian Women from Le Floridian Magazine and the U.S. Presidential Lifetime Achievement Award. And Buddha, if you will, let's bring her up live and bid a warm welcome to Farah Delance to A Time for Truth show. Welcome, Farah.
Thank you, Dr. Fialkoff. Thank you so very much to have me tonight.
So it's a pleasure to have you. And you know, you always bring life wherever you go, and you have so much to offer. I want to get really right to it because I know you have a lot to say, a lot that needs to be communicated to the viewers. What I wanted to ask you first is, you went through a lot as a young woman, losing your mother. What was it like? How did you overcome that? What did it do to change your life?
So basically, living without a mother is not something really easy. It's true that I lost my mom at an early age, but that doesn't mean that I didn't go through crazy stuff, because it wasn't easy raising without your mom. When you're in school, they have things, parties. So all your friends, they come with their moms, but you don't have your mom with you. That leaves you with an empty spot. But the fact that I've been raised by my godmother, I mean, she was always there for me, but that doesn't mean I didn't miss my mom. I miss my mom every time, every day. But I mean, I did my best to be a good person, to raise myself well, because most of the time, people thinking that when you don't have a mom, it's just like this, it's over. But myself, I put myself together, growing up well and trying to be a model for like orphan girls and young women around the world.
Well, I give you a lot of, acknowledgement, because I know, how much impact my parents, especially my mother, had in my life. And, I see that in my office as a surgeon. When the mother comes in with someone, it really makes it quite a difference, and the fact that you've grown so much is amazing to me.
Yes, and also because I'm a mom, so every time I'm trying, and I always pray to the Lord to make sure that I stay alive, to see my kids growing up, to be in their lives, to help them if they need something. Because myself, the fact that she wasn't there, I've been through a lot. But thank God, I'm a good mom for my kids.
Well, absolutely. And you're more than a mother to your kids. You're a mother also to the community and to so many people with what you bring to them. And what I want to ask you is, how is it, with all that you already had to do, that on top of that you've decided to work so fervently for others in the community?
Like I told you, I was raised by my godmother. I think it is a great thing, so that you're raising your kids right, or this you as an example, because the person that raised me was an example not only for me, for the people in my community. Not only she helped me, but she helped other kids in my city, in my country, to grow also. So I want to be an example. I wanted to follow her step, to be that role model for other girls and for the women.
It's really so laudatory, because our world, so many people desire, want to get inflow, and here you are giving back. You're planting things out in the world that some probably will take a long time to come back, but you put your effort into it. And what I wanted to ask you, it's obvious to me why you've been recognized, but from your viewpoint, how do you look at these recognitions, and why do you think God and life has blessed you so much?
I will say I'm a person with a good heart. I'm not gonna say I'm perfect, but I have a good heart. Since I was a child, I used to go to the hospital to give that anything that I have. I always contribute to my community. I think I deserve all of these awards because I work for them. When I say I work for them, I've been doing volunteering work since I was a young girl in Red Cross Haiti. I was a youth ambassador. I didn't get paid for that. So I just wanted to be good for my community, to help my community to grow. So I didn't need money for that. I think it was my duty to bring something positive to my country, to my community. So that's why I know every time I have to volunteer about something, I'm always up to do it, because it's not all the time you need money. Money is not everything. I believe most in privilege, because this kind of volunteering work, they give you a lot of privilege in the society.
Absolutely. Well, you get back.
Exactly.
You get back. But you know, it's interesting. People talk about they want to get the use of something. They want to have the license to have power in that area. And one of the interesting things is that if you give to the area and you actually see what the area needs, what's useful, not what you're going to use, but what's useful for them, and that you have that responsibility like you've done, and here you get back all these recognitions, all these awards. It makes total sense to me. You know, I think that this would be something important to share with our viewers. Tell us a little bit about your philosophy of why you do that. You've already started to, and you started at a very early age. So I'm sure you run across barriers. I'm sure you come across times that are very difficult. How is it that you keep going, and what is it that you keep in your mindset that keeps you going?
When you have a dream, you need to know that we always face a lot of barriers. That's for sure. But the most important thing is to know how, to move forward and to go up and let them down to move with what you have to do. And life is not easy at all. Everything that you're going to do, you will always face something, but you need to know how to get out. You need to unlock your potential inside of it and to get out of it. Every difficult time you will encounter in your life, just to mature you. Maybe the first time you didn't go in the best position. When you get burned, you will get back and you will do it right. So every time you're going through something difficult in what you're doing, it's okay. It's because you're doing good. Because if it wasn't good, you will go so fast. But if you need to find obstacle in your world, that means you going further and higher.
That's very true.
Yeah, sure.
That's very true. And I want to ask you, you founded your Farah Delance Foundation. How did that, come to mind? How did you decide to start that?
Basically, I always wanted to help people, but sometimes you don't have enough. Okay, there are certain things that you want to do. You can give some people something, but there are certain things that you need to address, or you need an organization, an institution to support you to do that. And also the fact that I was raised by my godmother, I wanted my foundation to help other girls that don't have parents, mothers, fathers, or that being abused, all of these things. So I wanted to be there for them, to listen to them. Myself only, I couldn't do that. But with my foundation, I know I will be able to do that. And also, I'm a battered spouse. I know sometimes domestic violence in my life. So I wanted to prevent other women to go through this. So I founded that foundation so I can use it as a voice to help women get out of certain things.
Absolutely. Well, there's a lot of women suffering who are single mothers, who have kids. And I was talking, to my wife the other night, and I said, I remember one time, it was kind of comical, but I had our 3 little kids. And I had them only for 3 hours. They were very young. And I'll never forget the amount of stress of just controlling them. It was a place called Chuck E. Cheese with the video games, and one was in a stroller trying to get out, and the other two were running around, and I was afraid they were going to get kidnapped. And once I finally got done and I got back to the house, I think I collapsed, and I said to myself, wow, and that was only 3 hours. What would happen if I did this nonstop? So I was talking to my wife, and I said, you know, it made me realize how important women are in our world. I wanted you to talk a little bit about that, because many times, if you're like me, we take them for granted. And maybe men, you know, because we have a lot of freedom, we don't realize really sometimes the things that are unspoken, unseen, it seems like they don't count or they're not acknowledged. So talk a little bit about that.
One thing I will say, we women, we are building in a way that people don't understand. Sometimes people are telling me, Farah, how do you do all of these things? I mean, I do time management. We women, we always do our time management. We always put everything at their times. Like every hour, we know what we're gonna do with it. So I don't know how men do it, but we women, since we go to bed, we know tomorrow when we get up, we have everything planned. Like at each hour, we have our own stuff to do. That's why, I mean, basically we built like this. There's nothing we can do about that. We can do like 20 things at a time. Myself, I'm in school, I'm working, I have my kids, I have my foundation. I mean, I have, you know, all the society to work with. I mean, I'm okay with it. It's a lot of pressure sometimes, but we built like this. I was building like this.
Well, it's amazing. It's really, you know, so important that we have our women, and they're really so important in our lives and the love that they give. And I wanted to ask you, because I see also that we want to spend some time on this. You were very concerned about women suffering from depression and women suffering from not only drug dependency, but also domestic, abuse and violence. Tell us a little bit about that.
Yes, a lot of women are going through a lot of things, but unfortunately, sometimes they don't want to speak up because of the society, the gap in the society. They don't want to get judged. Or basically, some women stay in a toxic relationship or abusive marriage. For some of them going through immigration problem, they get abused because of that. And if one of you listening to me tonight, I want to let you know there's something called VAWA. If you're going through something, the Violence Against Women Act, if you are in a relationship, you feel like abused because of your immigration status, you can apply for VAWA to protect yourself. And also, women going through depression and all of these things for different factors. Like I say, we have to work, we have to take care of our children, and also we have to go to school and do all of these things. But some of them, they don't work, okay? Not only they're not working, most of the time when you're not working, you rely on somebody or you rely on government. So which will make things so complicated for you sometimes. Imagine if you don't work, you rely on government or a husband or something, you feel like so dependent. That's why I really want myself and the foundation to address this thing, like, or to promote financial literacy so we can help women to bring themselves back together, especially after having kids. They're going through depression like postpartum and postnatal. Sometimes they want to hurt themselves. I was doing a personal study where I saw a lot of women, the person that I was seeing, basically what they're going through is crazy because they want to kill themselves, they want to hurt themselves, they feel like they don't want to live because they're so depressed and they're going into addiction. Imagine combination of addiction and depression, which is a big issue to address, especially if a woman just gives birth. So I'd like to address it, especially with you that I know that have that foundation fighting drugs addiction for years, and myself I have that foundation, Farah Delance Foundation with promoting the women's empowerment through girls' education. So I wanted us to work together so we can bring like a center of recreation, or something to promote the financial literacy and also preventing drug addiction and intervene. Because most of the time we are promoting, we're doing prevention, but we don't intervene. So now we need to bring a center so we can address that together.
Absolutely. And you had a very interesting idea that I want to ask you a little bit more about, is you had an idea of a recreation center for women who are suffering these problems, to actually help them to rehabilitate by extroverting in the center. Tell us a little bit about that idea, this recreation center for the women.
Yeah, I'd like we have this center so we can have a social work, so psycholog to after they have their kids, so they can come there to talk about what they feel, and also if they have certain concerns, so we can help them moving forward, getting back on track. Because sometimes, like I said, depression, when you don't have money, you feel so down. Imagine if you're not working, you don't have anything. But if we will promote that financial literacy to let them know, listen, if you work at least a little every week, you can get in a little thing, even if it's not too much, you can take care of yourself. And from there, you will feel a little bit confident. Because basically, if you don't have money, rely on government, rely on people, what you gonna do? You will always get stressed, depressed. But if you work, you will feel a little bit more confident of yourself. You're taking care of yourself. You're doing this for your kids. I'm doing this for myself. So you will get a little bit of confidence. Like the self-esteem will be back. You won't hurt yourself anymore. We need to promote financial literacy for women.
You're so right. It's so interesting because when you create yourself, which is really sometimes people don't see that, there's a joy that you get. There's a pride that you get in yourself, and it's interesting that when that happens, it does a lot for your mindset. It does a lot for your health.
Absolutely, because when you, that's why we're saying we want women independent, but it's true. Even if we still need our men money, but that doesn't mean we need to work ourselves so we can get our own money to do our own thing. You will feel like so good, honestly. Ladies, I know some of you going through certain things, abuse, all of these things. So create a little time for yourself to take care of yourself. And you will see you go back on track with a lot of confidence and you will love life. You won't hurt yourself anymore.
Absolutely. Something that I want to share that I've seen as a husband, a father, a man, is that there are things that we sometimes as men take for granted. And we look at we go out to work. And I don't say that we all feel this way, but some men feel, well, my wife is at home. I'm taking care of her. What is she doing? I gave you the story of my 3 hours with my young kids and realizing the magnitude of what our wives, or mothers, or our grandmothers have done in the past or still doing for grandchildren. And to really acknowledge that the job that they do, not only is it stressful at many times, because kids are not necessarily the easiest thing. They want to do what they want to do. They're super high energy. They don't want to be stopped. Sometimes you have to protect them for their own good, but they don't want you to protect them because they don't see the dangers that we see. And, the amount of work that a woman does, if we really were to look at it, it demands an exchange. And so I think one of the things in our society is to maybe give a little more acknowledgement to women and for their role as mothers and for what they are doing in our homes, not only for our families, but for us as men. Because some of the things that we take for granted, and when we come home, we see things, we get to eat dinner, or we get to relax, those things took effort. And just like sometimes we get upset that we have to go to work and we're not acknowledged, I think that in the world we need to have a little more acknowledgement of our women because they tend to be overlooked and the future are our children. So, I really congratulate you for what you're doing, and I want at the same time, during the show, to give a man's viewpoint. And, I love going to the gym. I love doing my man things, hanging out with my friends, doing my work. But I really realize that something that our world is suffering from, which is causing the violence, which is causing the splits, which is causing so many economic problems and community problems, is to realize that our families are held together by who really, basically, our wives and mothers. And so, we're running to the end of the show, but what do you feel that you envision needs to happen in our world?
Basically, like I say, we need to empower more women because we are mothers. We can shape the world. I want the world to understand that the women need to lead. I'm serious. We need to lead because we are mothers. That means we know how to deal with things.
Life.
We know, we know what's life because we're giving birth. So I know you're gonna say, "Oh, we give the baby." No, we get the baby. So we're giving birth to the world. After God, of course. I need the world to understand that women, we need a part. I need also we address the gender stratification. When we women, we are going to school with the men, and the men are making more money than us while we are practicing the same thing. So we need to address that. We need to respect women around the world because without us, there's no world.
It's very true. That's so true. You know what? And I have to say something that within my profession, it's really amazing that we're very progressive. Our dental profession has many women doctors, and it's actually a breath of fresh air because they're very humane. They're very dedicated, just as we are as men, and they're excellent clinicians. And they're actually, as you said, very excellent organizers. In fact, many of the conferences now and many of the global summits that we have in dentistry, you're 100% right. They're organized by women. They're at the top. And I really find that it works out great because there's a equality that's occurring. And, there's a role for a man, there's a role for a woman. We don't want that to end because there won't be any world, but we can respect each other. So I'm so happy to have had you on the show.
Thank you, Dr. Fialkoff. It was a pleasure for me to be here. And honestly, I love this show. And I'm sure that what you're doing is very amazing and great. So I think more people need to hear your voice and through this show. And I think more people have to come around so they can speak up. So other people have more knowledge. And, I'm really happy to be here tonight.
Well, I'm very happy you came. And for those of you watching, let's heed Farah Delance words. Let's respect, honor, and help our women. Let's see how we can work together. Drug-free world, Farah Delance Foundation. And we're actually having something this Friday in Harlem that you'll all be invited to. And what is your email again?
Farah at FarahDelanceFoundation.org.
Okay, so there you go. Or you can email actually, fdfwamericas@gmail.com, either one of us, and we'll tell you more about what we're going to be doing for the community, against drugs, for families, for youth. We'll see you there. And for now, I hope you enjoyed the show. Thank you again, Farah.
Thank you, Dr. Fialkoff.
And we'll see you on the next episode of A Time for Truth show. Be well.
This show was sponsored by A Time for Truth Foundation Incorporated as a community service.
Sometimes life can be so damn hard. You don't know where to go. Everything keeps falling apart. Yeah. You try to do your best, but only God knows that you're giving everything you've got, the world takes you down. You just keep moving on. Let your feet